Welcome back. Again, in the governor's race, Tim Michels said Friday he would sign a bill that includes rape and incest exceptions for abortion in Wisconsin. That's a shift from what he has said previously. He told us in a statement this Friday afternoon that the first was a personal position, but this still represents a major shift in the campaign. I am joined next by UW-La Crosse political science professor Anthony Chergorsky to break this down. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is kind of a big statement to make in the general election. What drives this kind of shift?
Well, I think the fact that overwhelmingly, when you look at public opinion, people want at least some exceptions to the 1849 abortion law that is currently in effect in Wisconsin. People don't like the 1849 law by and large. They want it to be more lenient. They want there to be more chances, more availability of abortion. And so Tim Michels is really responding to public opinion, I think. Naomi, it was one thing when Tim Michels was taking a position in favor of the 1849 law during the primary election campaign. It's another thing now that he's in the general election campaign. He has a broader audience to appeal to, a much more ideologically diverse audience. No doubt that shapes his calculations.
What does this say about just the overall importance of the issue of abortion in the midterms?
I think has become hugely important to the midterms. Normally, we think that the midterm elections are going to be a bit of a disaster for the party of the president. And you look back 9 months ago, a year ago, it looked like this midterm election was going to be an absolute drubbing, an absolute wipeout for Democrats. But the abortion ruling by the Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade has really reshaped the midterms. It has energized Democrats. It may not be a typical midterm election. I still don't think it's going to be a great year for Democrats, but no doubt the abortion ruling has shaken things up.
Yeah, polls are extremely tight in, the governor's race as we're watching this. The fundraising is high on both sides. As you mentioned, Democrats are doing a bit better than expected, but is it going to be enough?
You know, we'll have to see how those late deciders break in this campaign, Naomi. It's always interesting to watch elections in Wisconsin because we are such an evenly divided state. And a little shift here, a little shift there can make all the difference. So this campaign is going to matter right down to the wire. These events, these developments in the campaign, the extent to which they can shape voters a little bit here, a little bit there, that could decide this thing. That's just the kind of state we live in here.
Is this perhaps an appeal to voters in perhaps either geographically one part of the state versus another, or just ideologically?
I think trying to reach out to those voters in the middle, Naomi. Certainly, Tim Michels had to take some positions that were further to the right ideologically to make sure that he could win the primary election to become the Republican nominee for governor. But it's the classic dilemma that candidates face. They have to go to the ideological extreme, go to the ideological edge to appeal to the base of their party, the most loyal elements of their party. And then they have to try to shift back to the middle when they get into the general election, because the general election voters are, on the whole, more moderate. It's a classic dilemma, and Tim Michels is going through that dilemma right now.
Are we also seeing that with Democrats, though, extreme in the primary, moving towards the middle? Are there any major Democrat candidates that jump out at you as doing that in this cycle?
You know, I think Mandela Barnes was fortunate in the sense that the Democratic primary election campaign was quite civil. There were no negative attacks, really, that went back and forth among the Democrats who were trying to become their party's nominee for the U.S. Senate. Mandela Barnes got through that campaign relatively easily, but now he's coming under huge fire from the Republicans for the issue of crime. He is just getting pummeled by millions and millions and millions of dollars of attack ads. So I think with Mandela Barnes, it's not so much that he had to take extreme positions during the primary, it's that he's being targeted in a relentless fashion for his previous positions on crime.
All right, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
We will be right back.